student, welcome back again today. Very good afternoon, everybody. Because of some reason, I could not conduct class on this Monday. So I thought, let me have an extra class today. So on last Monday, we started this unit 4. This is, in fact, last unit of our curriculum, research reports and proposal writing. We started with this particular slide that there are 5 different kinds of research reports, right? And then I told you what is the overall outline of pre-PhD synopsis. And we have already discussed title, introduction, literature review, like whatever component we have of this particular slide. This is a kind of template. This is a kind of template of pre-PhD synopsis. Now, let me tell you, my friend, at present, very recently, university has conducted paid examination for PhD, and they will have to submit their pre-PhD synopsis. And most of them are struggling. Most of them are struggling. The reason for that is most of them did not get opportunity to learn how to write pre-PhD synopsis during their master program because it was not there in the curriculum earlier. But since last 4 or 5 years, we have included this in curriculum, and I am only the person who is teaching this. But in spite of that, there are very few students who are capable of writing pre-PhD synopsis. The reason for that is, like whenever you are having opportunity, whenever you are getting opportunity, you need to be very serious. You need to be very sincere. Because if you are not serious in listening, if you are not serious in exercises, and if you are not serious in implementation, then you are going to struggle a lot. So forget about whether you are interested in PhD or not, right? Most of the time, like many a time, students think that, oh, I am not going to be doing PhD. I am not interested in PhD. So why should I be very serious about this particular paper? No, it is not like that. As I told you, forget about PhD, because whatever you will be learning, whatever you will be experiencing is going to be going to give you a wonderful experience for implementing all those things in your day-to-day life as well. If you really want to make your life, make your future very happy, you need to know how to do research. And that is why, whether you are interested in PhD or not, but you need to understand all the processes, all the research processes, because those research processes are very much needed for each day-to-day day-to-day affair as well. And therefore, as I mentioned earlier, like most of the students are struggling to write pre-PhD synopsis because none of them, like very few of them, were serious. And then therefore I want you to be very serious in listening. I want you to be serious in the understanding, and I want you to serious in exercising the opportunities, like grabbing the opportunities rather whenever it is trying into your door. So we talked about this outline of pre-PhD synopsis. We also discussed in detail outline of the PhD synopsis, which is going to be submitted at the end of the PhD. Because one synopsis you will have to submit right in the beginning when you submit your application for registration, and then you will be working on that topic for 2-3 years, and then at the end, like whenever you will be submitting thesis, before submission of thesis, again you will have to submit a synopsis, and this is going to be the template of that synopsis. And then this is the template of outline or template of the PhD thesis. And then here also, like there are many students who struggle a lot whenever they are drafting their PhD thesis, and they are very much dependent on their PhD guide. Because I want student to be very, very independent, and whenever they will be doing their PhD, because he should not be puppet. ऐसा नहीं कि गाइड ने कहा कि ये करो और उसने उतना ही किया. No, I want student to be independent. They need to मतलब उनके खुद से कुछ आना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि हर बार हमारे PhD एडवाइजर है उन्हीं के ऊपर डिपेंड नहीं होना चाहिए. Then this is outline of manuscript. Like एक बार thesis हो गया, उसके बाद आपको क्या करना है? Whatever research you will be doing, that you will like to publish that research in good journal. I told you about I told you the impact and importance of publication of your research reports, research results into the Journal of International Repute that I have already told you. So this is going to be the template or outline of manuscript which you will be submitting to the publication, to the journal for publication. And then we started about the drafting of research proposal. Like research proposal can be drafted for many reasons, as I mentioned earlier. Like one could be like, once you join, let us say soon after MSc, for example, you got your PhD or you got SAT or NET qualified, and you join as a faculty member in one of the colleges or university, right? And then you will be submitting proposal to funding agencies for getting funding for your research project, right? Or like as I mentioned earlier, like if after MSc, if you want to submit, if you want to go do PhD in the institution like in foreign universities in particular, then you will be required to submit proposal for funding, right? Because for your tuition fees and then fellowship, you will be advised to write proposal. Then what should be like key aspect of those proposal? Like first, as I mentioned earlier, novelty, social relevance, and credibility. These 3 points also we have discussed in detail. How novelty can be inculcated, this has already been discussed in last lecture. How social relevance can be inculcated, can be incorporated in our proposal, that also we have discussed. Credibility, like how credibility need to be reflected in your proposal, that also we have discussed. But unfortunately, I did not get single question, because I am sure कि एक बार पढ़ाने से सब कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा. लेकिन I was expecting lot of questions from student, but unfortunately आप लोग जो है सवाल करते ही नहीं है. You need to raise questions, you need to doubt जो है रहेंगे आप लोगों के, वो आपने raise करने चाहिए, but unfortunately you are not raising. ट्रूली स्पीकिंग ऑनलाइन में तो डरना ही नहीं चाहिए, ऑफलाइन में तो डर रहता सामने कि मैं बिकॉज यू आर हाइडिंग योरसेल्फ. आपका तो कैमरा भी ऑन नहीं है, बिकॉज आई एम द ओनली पर्सन हु इज कीपिंग माय कैमरा ऑन. ऑल ऑफ यू आर शटिंग डाउन योर कैमराज. तो कौन बोल रहा है किसी को क्या पता है? तो बेशरम होके सवाल करिए यार, आप लोग बड़े मतलब शर्माते हो. डोंट डू दैट. ओके. And this we have also discussed, and then we talked about overall organization of proposed project proposal. This also we have discussed. And what are the essential of proposal to be funded, this also we have discussed. And then we were talking about this overall organization of research proposal, which you will be submitting for either getting funding for research project or funding for your PhD if you want to join any foreign university. Or sometimes even it's not only foreign university. If you want to join, let us say IIT or TIFR or BRC, this kind of institution for PhD, there also your the professor or scientist will be asking you to write a proposal, right? And this exercise is going to provide you a wonderful experience to how to draft this, right? So this is going to be a template or organization of oral research proposal. Title, we talked about title, abstract, background. This also we have discussed. We have discussed how the title should be, like how can we have the attention grabbing title. This also we have discussed. I have given you some example of good research title, bad research titles. And then we discuss about the abstract or summary of the proposal, what should be there and what should not be there, right? What kind of mistakes usually the students committed, and then what should be there in good abstract, right? And what should not be there. And then we talked about introduction part. Introduction part, as I mentioned earlier also, introduction part is going to be very, very important, because the three aspects which I talked about earlier, novelty, social relevance, and credibility, all those three parameters, three key aspects need to be reflected in introduction section only. Okay. And that is why we have explained this. What should be a good introduction part, what should not be. Reject means why, what you should not include, what you should not have in your introduction part, that also we have discussed. And then this was the last slide which we have discussed in the last lecture, origin of the proposal, what the origin is all about, what should be there and what should not be there. Now let us start from this slide. This is going to be a new slide for today lecture. Hypothesis. Now my friend, hypothesis we have already discussed in detail in unit 3. But again, let me tell you, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a kind of assumption. It is kind of like assumption you will be predicting right in the beginning. So in hypothesis, what you will be doing, you will be making one statement in which you will be writing that what you will be doing, and then in second statement you will be writing what you will be expecting. मतलब hypothesis क्या है? Hypothesis जैसे कि मान लो if you are working on this project for 3 years down the line, then you will be mentioning what exactly you will be doing and what exactly you will be expecting in your proposal. And therefore, what should be good hypothesis? Good hypothesis should clearly state the hypothesis or number of hypotheses that will be addressed in the proposal, because sometimes there could be more than one hypothesis. More than hypothesis means you can have a plan A or plan B, because we never know whether your plan A is going to work or not, right? So therefore, every time whenever like if something goes wrong and if your plan A is not working, then you need to have plan B, and therefore accordingly you may have two hypotheses. So if you are having whatever hypothesis you have, those hypotheses need to be very clearly stated in the proposal. Give justification why this hypothesis is important. This is also very very important, because आप जो भी करना चाहते हो, जो भी रिजल्ट्स आपको मिलेंगे ऐसा आपको लगता है, you need to justify that. You need to give a proper importance. You need to mention. You need to justify those. If at all your failure to justify the importance of your hypothesis, then it will be very difficult for reviewer to give positive recommendation, right? क्योंकि आप जो proposal submit करने वाले हैं, that proposal is going to be reviewed by some referee, right? So you need to make it sure that you are going to make the referee happy, and it will be easier for referee to understand what you are going to do and what you are going to achieve. What should not be there? Reject means क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. Avoid combining two hypotheses together. If you are having two different hypotheses, plan A and plan B, don't club it together, because whenever you are combining together, then it will be like you are creating trouble. You are inviting trouble. So because it is going to be like a sort of it will create sort of confusion in the mind of reviewer. And too long hypothesis make it hard to understand the aim of research, because hypothesis तो छोटा होना चाहिए कि मैं ये करने के बाद ये मुझे मिलने वाला है. If after doing this I am going to get this, because within one paragraph itself the reviewer should be able to understand what he will be doing and what he will be expecting. Because if hypothesis taking like one page long, if your hypothesis is one page long, एक पेज अगर लंबा hypothesis है, तो क्या होगा? It will be difficult for reviewer to understand what he will be doing and what he will be expecting. The next is a specific aim. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir.
It was due to some internet problem. It was disconnected. Let me start it again.
Okay, sir.
Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So welcome back again. I was talking about specific aim and objectives of the research proposal. So whenever I said like whenever we are talking about the specific aim or objectives, those objectives should be in bullet form, right? This is number one. Number two, you need to have a very because if the specific aims, truly speaking, should be around 5 to 6. Because if you are having too many specific aims, then it would be really difficult for you to convince a reviewer, right? The reason for that is your project is going to be for 3 years, for example, right? Usually for completion of one objectives, you may require 3 to 6 months, approximately 6 months. So if you are taking 6 months for completion of one objectives, then in 1 year, there will be 2 objectives, 2 years, 4 objectives, and 3 years, 6 objectives. So overall, if you're writing proposal, there should not be more than 6 objectives by and large. But at the most, it should not be more than 9 at the most. If at all you are not able to, restrict yourself within 6, then you should not cross a 9 number at least, right? Moreover, making sure that controls are added to approaches taken. what does it mean? It means that like whenever you are saying you objectives means you will be making a statement that you are going to do this, 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 right? Whenever you are saying that I'm going to do this, you need to have control on that statement. It means that you need to be very much sure that whatever you want to do it.
तिथं सगळं तू वावरून काय ठेवलेलंच नाही काय गलू एवढं म्हणजे ते मला तर नाही ते मग ठेवून द्यायचं असतं ना कुठं नाही गाण्याचा प्रश्न नाहीये त्या गोल्याच चाललं हेडफोनच आहे ते याच्यात काय
Okay, so I was talking about the specific objectives. So whenever we are saying that we are having, you are making statement that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. At that time, you need to be very much sure that you are having 100% control on whatever you want to do. Because if you are not sure about what you are going to do, whether you will be able to reach your destination, then obviously you are putting yourself in trouble, and it will be very difficult for you to convince reviewer. And therefore, whatever approaches, because whenever you are saying you want to do this, it means that you will be having something in your mind that you would like to achieve this objective by using this and this methodology. It means approaches. So whatever approaches you will be planning, you need to have control on that. So unless you have control on that, you will not be able to convince the reviewer. Always give what you expect, what your expected result would be. Like whenever you are projecting your objectives, you need to have in back, I mean, it should not be reflected in objectives, but in the back of your mind, you need to know like what I'm going to achieve and how I'm going to achieve and how long it is going to take, like what would be a stipulated duration of that. That's why I said whenever you are writing objectives, you need to have in back of your mind that how long it is going to take for me to complete this objective. Therefore, you need to have a proper control on those objectives. So overall, whenever we are talking about objectives, objectives need to be in bullet form, and there should be 5 to 6 objectives. Address innovation wherever possible. Innovation means, as I mentioned earlier, there should be some novelty. There should be some novelty. And whenever we are talking about innovation, you need to mention why. Because one of the simplest way to incorporate or inculcate innovation in your objective is to raise question. Ask question to yourself, like why I'm doing this. Like for example, if you are using, these are some of the material I'm talking about. Like for example, amino acid is the material, right? If you are using amino acid, then you need to ask yourself why I'm using amino acid. Like whenever you are raising question why, obviously you will be able to get response from yourself that okay, so far till this point of time nobody have worked on this particular material, or although people are working, but there are some serious issues in this material. So like that, you are always going to get responses of your own queries or own doubt, and as a result of that, you will be able to address some innovation, and therefore innovation need to be addressed. Confirm results with multiple approaches. Like whenever you are talking about objectives, you need to think in your like as I mentioned, in back of your mind, you need to plan, like if your plan A is not working, then what should be my plan B? If this is the methodology that I'm planning for achieving these objectives, and if doesn't work, then what should be my second option, right? So that need to be taken care of right in the beginning while drafting objectives. And moreover, make aim A one at least less risky compared to other aims. So what does it mean? It means that whatever objectives you have, at least first objective should be less risky. कभी भी, क्योंकि आप देखिए ना, कोई आप काम करने के लिए निकले हो और आपके स्टेप 6 स्टेप्स हैं, and first step itself is very challenging, very difficult. Then if you are not able to reach, if you are not able to achieve that first step, then you will get demoralized. इसीलिए क्या होना चाहिए, पहला स्टेप जो है, it should be as simple as possible, as risky as possible, as like less challenging as possible, so that it will be easier for you to reach the destination, the desired destination as far as objective one is concerned, and it is going to be moral boosting for you. What should not be there? Reject means what should not be there. Many specific aim is very bad. Like if you are having more number, as I mentioned, more than 9, it is going to be very bad, and you will not be able to complete that in stipulated duration of time, and then it will be very difficult for you to impress the reviewer. Avoid many specifics in whenever you are planning for experiment, right? Because if you are very specific, then it will be really difficult for you to stick up to those specific points. The reason for that is, like, for example, if you are putting some condition that while doing this experiment, I'm going to put voltage, like let us say VCC equal to 10 volt, very specific, and for some reason if you are not able to reach your destination, then it will be really difficult for you to justify. And therefore, instead of giving a specific point, you can say, instead of 10 volt, you can say it's going to be 10 to 12 volt. So you will be having kind of margin with you, so that if something goes wrong, you will be able to accept that deviation, and you will not be having any problem while deviating from your main objectives. Do not avoid issues within the field of research. Like whenever you are having some issues, you need to anticipate some issues as well, because if you don't anticipate problem, because one of the reasons for failure is we never anticipate the problem whenever you are walking on some particular path, right? जब हम कहीं चलते हैं ना, चलते समय फेलियर होने का रीजन क्या होता है कि हम कभी एंटिसिपेट नहीं करते. The failures होने का रीजन क्या होता है कि प्रॉब्लम्स, हर्डल्स हम एंटिसिपेट नहीं करते, and accordingly हम प्लान नहीं करते. If you could anticipate hurdles right in the beginning, you will be able to plan accordingly, and then you will not be having any issues. And therefore you need to anticipate issues within the whatever research you will be doing. You need to anticipate those issues as well. And these are some of the examples of objectives. As I mentioned earlier, you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have given only 5 objectives, like preparation of interdigited electrode on silicon dioxide substrate, SiSiO2 substrate. Then synthesis of covalent organic framework, deposition of covalent organic framework and its composite on SiSiO2 substrate, characterization of various characterizations rather, like structural, morphological, spectroscopic, electrochemical, electrical, is characterization of the COF and its composite, because in first objectives, the second objective rather, we have as far as this particular set of objectives is concerned, I have planned to synthesize the covalent organic framework, and second is going to be composite, right? So whenever I'm talking about composite and one particular material, so you need to characterize. Characterization is going to be there to confirm whether you end up with the same material or not, right? And then evaluation of sensing properties of COF and its composite for detection of various environmental pollutants like NO2, NS3, SO2, S2S, and so on and so forth. So essentially what we are doing here, first objective deals with preparation of electrode, second objective deals with preparation of material, third objective deals with deposition of that material on electrode, third objective deals with characterization of those material, and last objective is going to be for evaluation of sensing properties. Next is going to be methodology. As I mentioned earlier, methodology is nothing but the techniques which you are going to use to fulfill your objectives. And therefore, if there are 5 steps in objectives, there should be 5 steps in methodology. Straightway, 1-to-1 correspondence, right? And it should be again in bullet form. अब देखिए 5 objectives में 5 steps थे. Now I'm going to have the 5 steps in methodology as well. And you can see the preparation of interdigitated electrode on silicon dioxide substrate. This was objectives. And how I have converted the same statement in methodology, I have added only this statement by using photolithography technique. preparation of interdigitate electrode on silicon dioxide substrate. This was my objectives. I have added only one statement, one couple of word, like by using photolithography technique. It means the technique which I'm going to use to achieve this objective, that techniques need to be mentioned in methodology. That's it. Similarly, synthesis of covalent organic framework. This was objectives. Now methodology will be synthesis of covalent organic framework by using solvothermal method. Similarly, third one, deposition of covalent organic framework and its composite on SiO2 substrate. This was objectives. Now this is by solvent costing method. So essentially what we are doing here in methodology, you will be mentioning what kind of method you will be utilizing to achieve your objectives, nothing else. Similarly, characterization like structural by using this, morphological by using this, spectroscopic by using this, and so on and so forth. Similarly, last one, evaluation of sensing properties by using in chemiresistive and chemfact modality by using indigenously developed gas sensing system. So essentially, if you look at this, if you compare methodology with objectives, you will come to know that here the only difference between methodology and objective is we have added it is same, truly speaking same sentences, but we have added only techniques, the name of the techniques which we are going to use to fulfill that, to achieve that objectives. So I hope it must be very clear for you the difference between objective and methodology. Then significance, because significance is going to be very important. This is going to be last chance to impress reviewer. Let me tell you, my friend, like whenever reviewer is going to review your proposal, he will be always looking for what is the significance of this work, right? And therefore you need to somehow in your project proposal, you need to mention what is the significance of your proposal, what is the importance of your proposal. Now whenever you are talking about significance, you need to give some sort of future directions of your research, like whatever result you will be having, in what way this research is going to be useful for in future, right? Let us say if you are developing some gas sensor gadget, then you need to mention why this gas sensor gadget is going to be useful, like in what sectors this sensor is going to be, the sensing gadget can be utilized, in which area this can be utilized, right? And then you can mention about the innovative innovativeness, novelty of this proposal. See, in significance you can mention like why this project is novel. Like whenever you are talking about novelty, it means that you need to somehow reflect in your proposal that so far this kind of work has not been carried out by anybody. Similarly, whenever you are talking about social, the significance or importance, you can give some kind of, you can extrapolate rather, like the societal or national importance of the proposal, like whatever output you will be having, in what way this outcome of this proposal is going to be useful for the society. Or if you are having some national mission, as I mentioned earlier, like we have the Clean India mission, Digital India mission, initiated by Government of India, Skill India, right? So Make in India, Make in India, Skill India, Digital India, Clean India. These are some of the national missions which have been initiated by Government of India. So if you are somehow contributing to one of those missions, then you need to mention. So like that, you need to mention significance of the proposal. If you don't include that in your proposal, then it will be really difficult for you to convince reviewer. Then work plan and schedule. This is also going to be very important, because you see, you need to somehow in the proposal that you need to mention how long you are going to take for each and every objectives. In work plan and schedule, you need to mention, like that is why I mentioned, if there are 6 objectives, I have given example of only 2. Like for example, preparation of interdigitate electrode on silicon dioxide substrate. How long you are going to take? Let's say 3 months. So it means that within 3 months you are going to complete objective number 1. Similarly, objective number 2, let us say synthesis of covalent organic framework. How long you are going to take? Let's say 6 months. So it could be 6 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 2 months. It depends on the kind of nature of work. So that need to be mentioned, and this has to be distributed in within 3 years. Like whatever 5 to 6 objective you have, you need to distribute all those 5 to 6 objectives in 3 years, so that you can convince reviewer that whatever you are going to do, whatever proposal you are proposing, that you will be able to finish, you will be able to complete that proposal within a stipulated duration of 3 years. Next is going to be budget. Like there are, like you see, if you are asking submitting proposal for research project, like let's say you are a faculty member and you are submitting proposal for doing research project, then in that case you need money for equipments, money for contingency, and then money for hiring manpower. Like you will be appointing some student to work for you under the project, right? So whatever project you will be submitting, accordingly you need to justify. Similarly, if you are submitting proposal for your PhD, right? As I mentioned earlier, you can submit proposal for doing PhD. Then there you can ask money for your day to, monthly expenses. You can ask money for your tuition fees waiver. So you need to know how much tuition fees of that university is having, and accordingly you need to mention that, okay, I need this much money for this project to reimburse my tuition fees, this much monthly expenses, and then some money you can ask for, some funding you can ask for contingency expenses and consumables. कंज्यूमेबल का मतलब क्या होता है? कंज्यूमेबल का मतलब ये होता है कि जैसे केमिकल्स है, कुछ मटेरियल्स है, that you will be required to undertake the proposal, that you can mention. Now this link is going to be terminated after 1 minute. Kindly join again by the same link. Similarly, you can ask some contingency money as well. Contingency means 11th hour expenses. Okay, so all those